and go.
Gail, thank you so much for agreeing to do this video. Well, here we are. We're in Davos, and we're up above Davos, and we're at this amazing initiative that you and others have put together, the Arctic Basecamp. What the hell are you doing here, sleeping in minus 15 degrees in tents, when the world's leaders and CEOs are in five-star luxury down there in the valley?
Well, first of all, welcome to Arctic Basecamp, Anthony. It's a thrill to be here. And the jacket suits you well, so you're a lot warmer. That's good. So this is our third year of having Arctic Basecamp at Davos here with Arctic scientists, which try to bring the message of global risk to Davos in terms of Arctic change. So we see the Arctic as the barometer of global risk because of its key role in the global climate system. And without question, the Arctic is undergoing significant, massive and worrying change. So we bring the evidence, and then we partner with solutions to try and show that while the science is showing that it's doom and gloom, we actually have people here at Davos that have a lot of solutions that can massively accelerate the low carbon economy. So we're a science solutions platform for dialogue, disruption, and innovation.
So one of the terms that you've used is what stays in the Arctic doesn't what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. And that's a term that I first heard when I was in the Arctic myself, and I had one of these conversations with Professor Michael Mann.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the video is called Unlike Vegas, what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay in the Arctic. So what do we mean by that?
Well, I think that when you go to the Arctic and you see a lot of the change that's happening, it's pretty clear that for those local communities, there's a lot of concern that's happening, whether they're hunting and fishing communities and they can't do it the way they've always done it. At the same time, in the Arctic, you see that the sea ice is retreating, and in some ways, people see that as economic opportunity from a global shipping perspective. But really what the science shows is that the Arctic is not in isolation. It's a key part of the global climate system. So what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay there, it comes down to mid-latitudes. So things like the beast from the east. Well, in reality, it was the beast from the east in terms of extreme weather patterns.
So this was the UK,
so the European
snowstorm.
Cold snap, which in fact we're moving into again, actually starts from the north. So as the Arctic sea ice retreats, the research is showing the band of cold air weakens, and it brings down that Arctic snap. So what happens in the Arctic doesn't stay there, it comes down.
It's also the heat waves as well in the funny sort of way.
So what it does is it changes the balance of the mid-latitudes especially, and extreme weather is related to that. One of our Arctic Basecamp scientists is Jennifer Francis from Woods Hole, and a lot of her research is showing the worrying relationship between Arctic change and of course extreme weather in mid-latitudes, whether those are droughts, wildfires, heat waves, and of course the massive cold snaps that we're seeing.
So climate's a big issue here at Davos this year, and I think it's in over 70 of the sessions.
Right.
But also there's a big focus on youth as well.
Yeah. And
I heard this amazing statistic, which I'm ashamed to say I hadn't realised before, that 50% of the world's population is under the ages of 27 or 28, but young. And what we do affects half the world's population. And you've got this amazing young lady coming, actually, Greta.
Yep.
Is that right? And she's going to camp here with you as well?
So it's interesting is that during our third year, we've actually expanded, and we've got a week-long series of events, and we're very delighted to host the Swedish student who's been Greta Thunberg, who's been calling for climate strikes amongst high school students, basically suggesting that until world leaders and until the grown-ups get their act together, why should children be learning things when they're going to have to actually fight the climate change, severe climate change. So we're delighted. Her and her father will camp along with us. You're absolutely right. It's freezing, minus 15. It's not easy for any of us, despite the fact we've got a real science tent here from the Arctic. We've got the tents we use to sleep in. We've got great gear, expedition bags, but it gets a little nippy.
It's still cold.
It gets a little nippy, no question.
So is it worth it then? Do you find that this is actually cutting through? I mean, are you able to speak, I think, truth to power here at Davos?
Yeah, well, I think, the interesting thing is at Davos, you have the opportunity to do both the formal events and then the informal networking that happens just as people walking by. And we've certainly had heads of state pop into base camp and say, what the heck are you doing here? And the thing that grabs the attention is the fact that we're actually sleeping outside. And nobody else is sleeping outside at Davos except crazy Arctic scientists here at base camp.
Well, this is amazing, and I think what you're doing is incredibly important. So thank you for taking part in the video. I'm sure people have lots of comments. If crazy Arctic scientists sleeping out in minus 15 or 20 degrees doesn't get you talking, I don't think anything will. So Gail, thank you so much for doing the video.
Thanks very much.
Remember, subscribe to the Green and Tonic channel. Thank you.